Good evening and welcome to Football Focus for a special non-league edition. We're joined by Dave Powell and some new members to Football Focus who we've not seen before. Dave, would you like to do some introductions for me? Because you're more familiar with the guys than I am.
Yeah, I'll try and do it in some kind of chronological order. So our step 3 representative, if you like, Anthony Millerick from Hartley Whitney. Evening, mate. Then all the rest of the guys are now at step 4 after the recent restructure announcement. So I guess Simon's the longest serving, Simon Lane from Westfields, my old club. So evening, Simon. He's the longest serving at step 4. And then Roger and Roger Herridge from Binfields. Evening, Rog. And
evening,
last but by no means least, Mr. Salmon from
Good evening, Dave.
Sutton Common Rovers. So which Sutton is a very, very triumphant place at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. It's taken the limelight off of us, though, isn't it?
Yeah. Excellent, guys. But again, thank you for joining us. This is uncharted territory for Football Focus. Typically, we talk about, fundamentally at the moment, Liverpool, because we're just trying to broaden our horizons, have a few conversations about different subjects, and Dave brought this one to the table. And having spent some time in Surrey and being former Westfield first team manager like you, Simon, once upon a time, many years ago, thought it was good. Thought we'd have a chat and chew the fat over the new restructure. So we'll start with this. Obviously, one of us has been in a final at the weekend. Just ready to have a bit of a chit chat and talk about the day. I appreciate it didn't go quite the way it was meant to go, but it's a great day out for the lads, no doubt, and a lot will be taken from it and use it, the adversity of losing the final to bounce back even stronger next season. So hand it over to the manager of the team that played in that final. Just get your thoughts on the day.
Actually, just to point out, I'm the assistant manager now, so
okay. That's plenty good enough for us.
But yeah, I mean, listen, it was, you sort of sit and reflect on the game, and there's always disappointment because when you get to a final like that, you don't want to go there and just enjoy the occasion. You want to go there and win the game, but it's been. It's been a brilliant couple of weeks, I think, for the football club since we reached Wembley. I mean, for those that know Binfield Football Club, it's a very well run, up until recently, Step 5 football club. It's a little village football club. In all honesty, it's always lived within its means, and to do what we've done over the last few weeks. It's just been amazing. It's brought the whole village together. I think what we've all lived through over the last year or so. It was certainly something that I think has the whole community has got engaged into, and we've all enjoyed the ride. As I say, disappointed to lose the game, but I think we just have to say congratulations to the side that beat us on Saturday, Warrington Rylands, who were I felt deserving winners probably over the 90 minutes, and a very good side.
That's very magnanimous of you. It's never easy to say that in Sutton's, particularly Raw right now, because it was only a couple of days ago. In terms of going into the game, did you feel confident? Were you on a good run of form? Did you think that you genuinely went there with a chance to win? Yeah,
definitely. I mean, we've just, I suppose what we've just gone through has been sort of unique, really. I mean, when football returned and obviously we realised that the Vars was going to continue, it was just a case of training twice a week and focusing on one game on a Saturday, knowing that if we win that game, we repeat what we've just done the week before, and then focus on the next game, knowing that for every game that we got through, we were getting closer to Wembley. If we lost it, we knew that that was going to be the end of our season. But yeah, we certainly went there, really, really confident. The two lads who I support, Jamie McClurg and Cole Withers, who took over from me last season, have done a fantastic job. They're both young lads. They're both new to management. Jamie is still, still playing, so obviously has a massive influence on and off the pitch. But in all my time in non-league football, whether playing or coaching or managing, I've never seen a team spirit and a togetherness that those two lads have created at Binfield Football Club. So they've got the group used to winning, and yeah, as I say, we knew it was going to be a tough game on Saturday, but we certainly went there, with a great chance of winning it. As I say, unfortunately, we fell a little bit short in the end.
Sorry, Steve. I was just going to say, Roger, a couple of years ago, Chertsey got to the Vars final, and I know they did a lot of work. I mean, we're all familiar with Chertsey Town Football Club, and I know they did a lot of work off the field in terms of drumming up support, and their crowds have followed them into the Ispian Division 1 South Central as well. I don't think, getting to a Wembley final, that I don't think you couldn't ask for anything better, really, to raise a profile of the club, and it's certainly there's been a lot about that, and you guys have done a lot about that in terms of driving that on social media, Twitter, etc. Do you think there'll be an uplift in terms of your support at home games next season?
Yeah, I think so. I think I'm sure there's lots of people who've come out in the last few weeks, and some of who joined us at Wembley who probably before that didn't realise what was going on their doorstep. And I know you're going to talk about restructure a little bit later, but obviously we're quite excited by the fact that we're going to be in a league next year with our local rivals, Bracknell, who I'm sure everyone here will know Bracknell's resurgence over the last few years. And our average crowd, prior to lockdown, I suppose, was just under a couple of hundred. I would be very surprised if that's not, we'd like to think it will double next year, but I think what's happening with our rivals down the road, being that they're going to be playing at Sandhurst next year, I think that will help us. I certainly think our crowds will increase dramatically.
Excellent. Just touching on the occasion itself, obviously, we all, when we go through our football careers, players, managers, coaches, there's certain experiences you never forget, certain grounds you go to that you never forget, and certain games you never forget. The Wembley experience, how good was that? Obviously, results aside, how good was the experience of going to Wembley?
Just amazing, just absolutely amazing. I mean, when I stepped down March last year, I stepped down thinking I was going to spend a couple of seasons out and see if I miss it and have a few holidays. And when I got the call from the two boys in November to see if I'd go back and help them out, I suppose I was caught in two minds, but to go on the journey that we've just gone on and get to Wembley and be in those changing rooms and sit in that dugout and watch your team play is an amazing experience. From the minute you walk on the pitch and you look at the surroundings, when you're sat there in the dugout and you're looking at people and family, friends and family in the crowd, giving you their full support, watching them to cheer when you score a goal, and even at the end, as I say, for as disappointed as we were, to walk over and see so many people in the crowd, coming to watch you and your side play at Wembley is an amazing experience.
Well, I think it's fair to say congratulations for your run, and unfortunately you didn't get the end result, but what a journey that's been, and hopefully you could just finish by telling us, will that galvanise the lads next season? Will they come out thinking, we've had an experience like that, we've achieved something, because you did achieve something. Let's go again. Let's push a bit harder and see what we can accomplish. Is that the feeling in the club?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, obviously there was obviously disappointment once we got back in the changing room, and we'll obviously all reflect on it for a few days, but as I say, this is as close a knit group of players as I think you could possibly get, and there's a real desire to do well. Obviously we're all in various WhatsApp groups, and it's already buzzing, and we'll have a few weeks rest now, and I know that Dodds and Wibbs, the managers are, we're already planning for next season. And yeah, as I say, I think it will galvanise the group, and I'm sure it'll make us even stronger.
Excellent. Well done again. Anyway, it's a nice tale to tell and a great experience for you all. So before we come to the sides individually to talk about the restructure, has it benefited you? Has it regionalised you? And all of that good stuff. I'm hoping Dave's done his homework, because I'm just going to ask Dave to very quickly and succinctly summarise the changes to the league structure for the people that are watching that are not as close to it as you are. So if it's okay with you, Dave, just pass it over to you for a brief explanation about what this was and what they've actually done with the restructure, please.
Yeah, so the restructure is really so from step one, which is National League Premier, down to step 6, which is for round this way, your Wessex League Division 1 or Combined Counties League Division 1, Hellenic League Division 1. The top tier there is promotion and relegation. So there's still been promotion and relegation into, no relegation, but promotion into the Football League, and then relegation down from there. Step 2, which is National League North and South, there's nothing going on there. And then there's, although that's subject to some appeals, I believe still. And then really and truthfully, I mean, Miller's is at step 3. I can't see that there's been too many changes. Miller's step 3. I think that's as we were. And then there's been a hell of a lot of change between step 4, 5, and 6, which is where we have had some promotions. I think 107 teams. I think someone might want to correct me on that, but I think 107 teams have changed positions, have been uplifted a level. So that's where these guys come in really well. Roger at Binfield and Darren at SCR, they've both seen the benefit of that with promotions, quite rightly, because they've done it over a 2-year period, 2 truncated seasons. And both of those teams, we talk about those teams because they're here with us today. They've been at the top end of their division, so quite rightly in my opinion, have been promoted. So, along with a lot of others, including the Warrington Rylands, who played against Binfield in the FA Vars on Saturday. So, in a nutshell, that's it. It's another restructure by the FA. There'll probably be another one in 2 or 3 years' time, and God knows where we'll be with that. But for now, really, I mean, it's we've already spoken to Roger about his thing, but I'll bring Darren in here, and Darren been quite vociferous. When it looked like there wasn't going to be a lot happening, Darren, at one point, I think it would be fair to say it looked like the restructure might be put off for another year. But you've got your way, mate, quite rightly, and congratulations. Thanks, and I mean, I guess tell us what that means for you, really, as a football club, and you personally, Darren, because I know you put so much of your time, effort, money, relationship, the whole shebang into Sutton Common Rovers Football Club.
Yeah, thank you, Dave. I think you're right. I think there was a general feeling amongst a lot of clubs. I certainly won't pretend that it was every club, but a lot of clubs that the FA needed to do something. I think a null and void season and a curtailed season just seemed to leave everything very sterile if there was no movement at the end of this season. So I think the FA have done the right thing. Obviously, I'm probably slightly biased because, as you rightly say, we were positively affected over the 2-year PPG. But I think it's a bigger picture than that. We certainly, from our point of view, it's not just been about the 2 years. You can go back to the year that sort of Chertsey went up and and even before. I think we've been around the top 4 or 5 for probably 5 years. So, we definitely felt. You start to feel that the gods are against you in some respects. When you suddenly get this, COVID 14 months ago that nobody had heard of, and then suddenly 2 seasons, which are no less, you're no less able to prepare for them. The financial ramifications are still massive. You still got to go into the season, even this last one, as if you're going to play a full season, and then suddenly to get to Christmas and then not kick a ball, until kind of April, when we found ourselves unlike Roger and his Binfield guys that did really well to get to the final. For us, I think it was really difficult for us to come back and prepare. We were appalling, really, when we came back out of it. But I think 4 months off, it's difficult to be too critical. And then you are kind of pinning your hat on the fact that the FA are going to push on with the restructure. So, but yeah, for us, it's we're a family club. 17 years ago, I had this stupid ambition that I was going to take the club out of Sunday football into Saturdays. Come under a lot of stick for it when I said that the ambition was to take the club to the Ryman's League, Isthmian League, Step 4. And after about 3 years of managing SCR at the very lower levels of grassroots football, I began to see why people were so critical of the statement. To be honest, I think I completely underestimated the whole thing. But we're nothing if not stubborn. So we've stuck at it, and yeah, I guess that the last 2 years, you do start to question whether it's going to happen. And I think certainly from my dad who started the club off, and the family members that are involved, my brother-in-law does our youth section, my sister does the T-bar, I've got the most long-suffering partner in Sharon, who is probably more well-known in non-league football than I am, I think it's probably fair to say. But for everybody, and all the people that volunteer on match days and stuff, I think it was the right outcome. And eventually, it's not the way we would have wanted to do it. Obviously, we would have wanted to have done it on the pitch and been, champions of the season. But I'm not even sure that would have worked out for us. If the season would have continued, or if it had restarted back in sort of March and April, with the fact that a lot of the higher levels weren't playing, we foresaw an influx of players from the higher levels coming into our step that I think would have really skewed things. So, it's worked out well for us, but I'm sure there's lots of people that are kind of feeling a bit resentful for the way that it's happened.
Excellent. So, in terms of your club, Sutton, is it a case of just pick everything up where you were, put it in a higher step, if you like, or will it mean logistical changes to you at all, or is it because everybody's going there? It's kind of as you were and you try and build because you're at a slightly higher level.
Yeah, really good question. I mean, obviously we've got the sort of double whammy of the fact that as you alluded to earlier, that Sutton United have been promoted to the EFL, which is amazing. Congratulations to them. But obviously that leaves the grounds needing remodelling over the summer. And it's been widely acknowledged that the pitch has got to come up and got to get a new surface down, grass or a hybrid surface down. So the timescales for that, and plus additional infrastructure around the ground. So that's certainly going to impact on us in terms of we've not been able to arrange any home pre-season friendlies. So our entire pre-season is going to be away. And I'm sure that will have an impact on the start of the season potentially. We won't have kicked the ball on it until we play our first competitive game there. So other than that, I don't foresee a lot of changes in terms of player personnel. I think we'll, rightly or wrongly, we'll probably stick with the group that we've got and give them an opportunity to step up with us. Hopefully they'll make the step up, and if they do, great. If they don't, after a month or so, I guess we'll have to review that. But the plan is definitely to take the group that have got us there up with us.
Interesting you say that, Darren. We did that at Westfield when we went up, and at Christmas we were 16th. And we made some changes around about that time. There was, not wholesale, but there were some changes that happened that time, and we went on. And as you well know, we made the playoffs off the back of there. But I'll bring Miller's in there on that point, because obviously Miller's has done successive promotions and got himself up to step 3, and I can't remember Miller's, to be honest with you, mate. What you did when you first went from when you won the combined counties and you went to step 4? What was your? Did you go with the same kind of group, or did you change things
right.
up?
I think that's. I think it's incredibly harsh on a group of players who've got you where basically met every objective, and then you get there, you get to the promised land, and you get to everything you promised them, and then go, nah, actually, you're not going to be good enough for this. You've got to give them, as much as you give them the opportunity to succeed, you give them the opportunity to fail, and that's something we did. We still boosted a little bit. We brought in Paul Hodges, who was a big player at the time, and one or two others, but it far from wholesale changes, just supplements basically, and also as well is still not at the same level of competition for places, and didn't want the group to go stale. But over the course of the season, I don't think there was certainly not wholesale changes. There wasn't a point where I thought, right, I need to bring in 5 or 6. We were fairly lucky with momentum as well. Momentum is huge, and we just carried on the crest of that wave. Arguably, there was more changes when we got to step 3 than there was step 4. So I think everyone who's been successful here with the seasons they've had, I think adding 1 or 2 just excited, but then basically just maintaining spirit, maintaining momentum. That's key.
Yeah. Will you do the same kind of thing, Rog?
I think Miller's...
Sorry, Simon.
Oh, I was just going to back up Miller's point, actually, because we played Miller's team the first game of the step 4 season when they just...
I didn't want to say it. I didn't want to bring it up.
It's upsetting that much he's gone.
That must have cut deep.
Yeah, sorry. But while we're waiting for Simon to come back, will you be looking to do the same as Darren? Stick with the same kind of group?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, you listen. If Binfield Football Club can emulate what Hartley Whitney Football Club have done over the last few seasons, I think we'll all be happy, wouldn't we, Darren? But
absolutely.
And I talk about the team spirit that we've got down at Binfield, and I can't comment on Sutton Club. I'm sure it's got a good spirit as well, but I certainly know from watching Miller's sides over the last few seasons. I mean, some of the boys that have played for Miller's I've known for a long while, and and he's had some real good characters and some real good leaders, and you can see from outside what a great team spirit he's had there, and what a tight knit group, especially at when they were at step 5 and step 4, and that can take you a long way, and sometimes that wins you games that you might not necessarily win. So we're certainly not. I know Dodds and Wibbs have. As I say, already started planning for next season, and I'm sure I've had a few conversations. But listen, I'll be very, very surprised if the squad of 21 that we've had available for the last 6 weeks. I'll be very surprised if they aren't all back training and training when we come back to for pre-season. We had a couple of lads in the squad that. Some of our opponents sort of picked out as step 3 players like Liam Ferdinand and Kenzie Maloney that were involved in the Vars run. And, listen, those 2 lads were, had played games for Binfield going back a couple of seasons, and, were brought in because, we had a couple of forwards that were injured. But, listen, there's, I'd like to think that, the squad that we've got now is certainly good enough to consolidate at the next level, and and give us something to build on, really.
Yeah,
excellent. Just on this stage, you've been waiting very patiently for 25 minutes. Simon, if we bring you in and just do the same type of thing for Westfield, talk to us about what your plans are and what you see happening for you.
Well, firstly, congratulations to the two guys, Darren and Roger, because even though you've come up through a restructure, it's valid in my book because you've won a lot of football matches over a long period of time. So congratulations to you both.
Appreciate that.
And welcome to the division. No problem. Welcome to the division. No, I mean, for us, it's exciting. I mean, you look at the thing as a whole. I mean, it feels a bit disjointed in that 6, 5, and 4 steps have been touched, but 3 and 2 are still sort of left as they were. Miller's will have a view on that, I'm sure. But no, I think how it's left it freshens things up. For me, I just want us to have a full season, where it's competitive and you things are sorted on the pitch. It's given the challenges we've had over the last year or so. I mean, you look at the league. I don't think there's any game which you're going to say it was going to be easy or anyone's going to be adrift at the bottom of the league or anything like that. Obviously, you've got some very strong ones in there. People who are used to winning football matches, like your Bracknells with all their funding and what have you. But every other game is going to be extremely competitive, and you're going to see some good football there. And of course, everyone's looking forward to the trip to Guernsey, aren't they? So you got that one thrown in there. So no, I think
might be a few lads going missing on that trip, Simon.
yeah. But no, I think everyone's just looking forward to getting going again and quickly. And it's about football. And I would hope with what happened with the Super League and the way people view some of the the top levels of football, non-league is pure football, isn't it? And I hope there's more of a resurgence in people coming to the gate and watching pure football, as I would call it, and all the things that go with it. Because it is.
That's
special.
A really good point.
And,
that's a really good point you make about the ESL. Sorry to interrupt. That's a really good point you make about the ESL and fans growing tired and impatient of the money game at the top of the football triangle. And I personally believe that Premier League clubs and First Division clubs need to do more to support grassroots football. And I've suggested on a number of occasions on forums to have a transfer levy. So some of the money that goes to agents, some of the money that goes to sign-on fees, there's a small percentage sent to an audit company like a Pricewaterhouse and Cooper, and that's distributed amongst grassroots football to help teams like yourselves, to help all of you develop your ground, all the things you've spoken about going to the next level. Mini Raiola takes £20 million fees for selling the players from another club. I think that's obscene. And that's not reality, really. That's not the world we live in. So it'd be nice to see something fed back and channeled through down at sort of lower levels in terms of that. So on to the next subject I just wanted to touch base with you guys on. Obviously, someone's mentioned it already, and it's post-COVID football. Obviously, in every single sport, people have had 14 months away from it. People's lives have changed. People's priorities have changed. Within your own clubs, and I'll throw this open for anybody to pick it up, but we'll kind of go around the room. What's post-COVID football mean for you? Have you seen any changes that concerns you? Have you even lost players because life's changed and jobs have changed? People have to do different things because we were never prepared for that. So in terms of your clubs, your situations, sitting down with your owners, sitting down with your board, sitting down with your chairmen, talking about where your funding comes from, sponsorship deals and things like that. How's that all changed for you? Excuse me, how's that all changed for you guys?
Who wants to go first?
Just go.
I can go on that one. I mean, our club's certainly been affected by it. I mean, before I came on board, I've been there a year. The club were in good health in terms of funding and sponsorship. They had some challenges around COVID time on that, and it's been the case ever since I've been there. In terms of trying to get something going on the commercial side. So it's been a massive challenge. For me, it was a blessing in a way that, you have to rely on good coaching and your contacts and your beg, borrowing and stealing that you do. And Miller's knows that very well because we had lots of conversations. And I had to build it from scratch. So for me, it was like, a complete blank vanilla page. And you go back to what you know and what you're good at, and hopefully that keeps you afloat in terms of in the league. So, yeah, it's been a massive challenge, and but you're hopeful that that can gradually start to pick up with activity. For me, the big challenge and the big concern would be, what happens if we come up against it again? You say post-COVID. I mean, are we out of it? And will we get the same thing when winter comes this year? And because, from a competition perspective, there has to be upward movement from 4, from 3, from 2 this year. There has to be in some form. Because they've had to wait patiently for a couple of years on that. The teams that have done so well in those divisions. So I think that's crucial, and the leagues have got to find a way to make that work and make it credible. I think, but it's just different. There's other things, in terms of the way you deal with your players, and I'm usually quite close to mine, but physically, but the distance. I'm not a Guardiola. I'm not like that, but the distance that you employ is different this time around because of that, and just very conscious of the condition of the boys as well. I mean, after the first break, and we came back just before Christmas, and we started doing friendlies just before Christmas, and I lost 15 guys in the first week just through injury, and then just because of the varying conditions they were on. We didn't hammer them when they got back, but it's just you pick up muscle injuries and just how it is, and we're going to have to be very conscious of that in pre-season. So
I think I say post-COVID football. I think I say post-COVID football because we've got to find a way out of this. Not just for the football that you guys do, but for industry, for business, for the country. We've got to find a way out the other side of this, and obviously with the roadmap to sort of some kind of freedom. 21st of June is still being earmarked as a watershed day where kind of all bets are off in terms of the things that we've been doing, and the restrictions are lifted further again, and hopefully that means you guys can get back to some form of normality. And as you say, I didn't even think about how you social distance when you're doing training. That must be logistically a nightmare. Does anybody else in the room want to pick up on that and just sort of walk me through what that means to you and how you're going to change to accommodate that?
Yeah, I'll happily go on this one. So I think I don't think yet all the full impact of the sustained period we had off. I don't think it's really hit yet. And what I mean by that is it's a little bit different from Darren and Rog, because they managed to to stay relatively busy and relatively not just the norm, but for step 3 players and Simon as well. Not only have you got the impact of boys being out of football for so long, coming back getting injured, but also as well as lifestyles change and habits change, and all the motivation previously and the regularity of playing football Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday for 9-10 months of the year, all of a sudden get used to maybe picking up the extra few bob on a Saturday, working overtime, or the family life then takes it takes on a different priority. And I say you just get used to things, and you get set in your ways. And the bigger impact will be, I fear that some of the older chaps, some of the guys who are maybe in the twilight of their careers, won't prioritise football as they have been doing previously, and will that motivation still be there? Likewise with the youngsters as well. If you're a top year youth team player and you've missed the vast majority of the last 2 years, that is a major stepping stone into senior football. And if you go from playing, like I said, it doesn't matter your level, you go from being a successful Sunday footballer under 16s, haven't had much experience in an academy or anything like that, and then those 2 years at youth team bypasses you and you play a handful of games, then all of a sudden youth team football is gone and you're in the shark-infested pool of non-league football. It is a completely different vibe, and those years, those development years. I think there's going to be, a lot of players lost, and a lot of potential not fulfilled, purely because of that. And that is a worry. We, to talk about just what we've done recently is, as soon as we were able to, I almost felt a bit of a just socially responsible for some of these lads. Certainly, some of the inner city kids, who've been maybe boxed up in small dwellings with limited access to green space. I must felt obliged to offer some sort of football program just to get them back out, just to get them around kicking a football and socialising and all the other things that are great about non-league football. And it's the sooner we get back to normality, the better for me. Obviously, it goes without saying.
Interesting point you make there, Millers, about you just touched on. I mean, a couple of things actually. Number one, my middle son Theo played, and he's going to turn 18 in August, and I think we were working out a couple of weeks ago that he played, I think 10 competitive youth team games in 3 seasons. Now, a couple of those have been down to injuries as well. He broke his foot, which didn't help during last season. But yeah, I mean, I can back up what you're saying there. He's basically, I mean, he's been in and around senior football clubs, so he knows what's what in that regard. But it's a lot different being in and around that environment to actually trying to be in that environment and playing football. And I guess the other thing that you touch on there is that you say about older lads perhaps not being that interested anymore. And I don't know whether, post-COVID football, is it going to be a budget's going to be affected, and therefore, where you say lads can come in, they can pick up a few bob. Do they then think to themselves, actually, do you know what? I was playing for Hartley Whitney, and I had to travel to Merthyr on Saturday for whatever money I was getting, and I can work, and I can work till 2:00. Rock up and play for some other team down the road and just have my kickabout and play football, and that can be their release every weekend, and go actually the money I can earn working till 2:00 on a Saturday, rather than, is that going to be more of a thing now? I don't know. I mean, that's a question open to the floor, really.
I think so, but I think the one thing that we've all got in common, all the managers here, is we've all got fairly good dressing rooms. So when boys go to football and they enjoy it, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, there's an unforeseen value in that. So whatever you do, it has to be enjoyable. Whether the training is exceptionally hard, but then you get the rewards on a Saturday when you win, or it's just an enjoyable environment and the club is a decent social environment after, then I think that adds a massive weight as well. But there's no question, boys and their wives will be looking at it and going, why are you doing that when you can do this? And I said that's more the issue with the older ones, because perhaps they realise that their ambition isn't what it is. They're not going to go up through the levels. They're not going to make the thousands from football that they once maybe projected. So certainly, I think they're going to be questioning it, and I think it's on us as managers. How are we going to motivate those players? Is it by money? Is it by development? Is it by by making it an enjoyable environment?
Okay, guys. So last topic to speak about, and I'll come to you all on this. Just spend a couple of minutes talking about where you're at, what you're looking to do. What are your season's expectations? This is like no season you've really experienced before, because everything's going to come back at you at once, and all the things we've spoken around. So just sort of around the room with the people that are attached to the clubs, the managers. What are your season's expectations? Firstly, how do you see football panning out? Have you been more regionalised if you've been through changes? And in terms of your own club, talk to me a little bit about what you're hoping to achieve this year, all things considered. We'll start with Hartley Whitney on that one.
Well, it's going to be a challenge.
No pressure.
Yeah. My goal every year is to be competitive, and it's purely that. We don't go in with set goals of really we expect to be. Well, privately we might. Amongst the coaching staff, we might again predict, right? Okay, well we can do X, Y, Z, and we can keep this squad together. Perhaps we could be looking at from here upwards, but mostly we don't. We did formally, but right now it is make ourselves competitive, make ourselves fit. As coaches and as managers, get a decent group of lads a group of lads that are prepared to work hard, fight, bit of siege mentality, and then get them as structured as possible, as organised as possible, with that desire to go into battle, and like I say, be competitive. And if you do that, and you approach each game like that, and you take them on no matter who they are, I've never done it. I've never been one to set up defensively, or I don't live in fear of opposition. I respect them, but I'm going to come at you, and my lads are going to work hard. And if we don't do either of those two, you know, if you're a good team and you're better than me, player for player, you know, okay, so be it. And there will be occasions this season where that happens, and at that point you can go, right, we can be honest. Were we beaten by the better team? Yeah. Were we beaten by the better individuals? Yeah. But otherwise, if we're not that, if we're not front foot, and at least have a period in the game, there will be a steward's inquiry after, because that's always been our approach. We don't fear anyone. We'll come and have a go, and if we come up short, then at least we'll come up short. But being honest.
Really good response, thank you. So we come to you, Sutton, for something similar, please, with regards to your season's expectations.
Yeah, absolutely. I guess in terms of expectations or aspirations, it would be nice to finish a season. I think, you know, I guess, you know, stepping up. I said to one of our presidents the other day, I'm kind of torn between a rock and a hard place at the moment. It's like 17 years of wanting this to being on the cusp of it and feeling like the first day of, you know, going to a new school or something. You know, you're excited, you're nervous. You don't really know what to expect, although you've kind of seen it from a distance. And the one thing I have learned over the last 20 or so years is that, you know, it's never like what you think it's going to be. So, you know, there's going to be lots of things for us to have to get used to in terms of a club. We're going to have to grow into the new administration side of it and new processes and all of that sort of stuff. So that's going to be a challenge. But I guess, you know, we just want to consolidate. We want to try and establish ourselves as a credible step 4 club. I guess, you know, that's the first goal. You know, I don't want this to have all been for 9 months and then we suddenly slipping back down the ladder. And in terms of the regionalised, I think we've been quite lucky. You know, we've got Chalfont is probably one of the longer trips for us, and Guernsey obviously, but who doesn't want to go to Guernsey? You know, we missed them in the CCL. I think we've already got about 50 people signed up to go to Guernsey.
Yeah, I'll bet.
Which is, you know, they're already asking when the fixtures are out. So I think, do you know what, we've got to enjoy it now. I think that's the main thing. As you say, there is going to be some impact, I guess, you know, financially. You know, we've got our head coach that's currently suffering with long COVID, and he's been really ill, Chris McGinn. And he, you know, he's, you know, so all of our thoughts go out to him for hopefully for a full recovery. But you know, he's been in a really, really treacherous place. So you know, we don't know how that's going to pan out yet. So there's lots of unknowns for us, but exciting times.
Thanks for that. We'll come to you, Simon, just to summarise some of the thoughts for Westfield, please.
Yeah, the short answer is I'd have to echo what Miller said in terms of being competitive. But one thing I would say is that we've got an extremely young group, and I'm certainly going to have to beg, borrow and steal again to get a competitive squad, even though a lot of them are up for coming back this year. What I would say is that even in the short time we had on the grass last year, because they were so young and so receptive to what we were trying to do, then they did improve from having them from scratch, you know, with a blank sheet of paper with no existing players basically. So that bodes well. That's really encouraging for me. And the more time I get with them, we can work on that and become even more competitive, hopefully. But no, it's going to be an exciting league. I think you're going to have to be on it every single week. With, you know, good sides like the guys involved here coming into the league, and some are coming across that are established and stuff. So no, I'm looking forward to it. But competitive first, continual individual and collective improvement, and then we'll see where that takes us. But again, echoing the guys, it'd be great to have a full season where there's no disruptions, first and foremost.
That is a great league, by the way. Looking at it, local, a lot of local derbies.
Yeah,
not much travel. That's as good as
it's
it
sort
gets.
of it's sort of a throwback to a few years ago. Pretty much an M25 league again, isn't it? Pretty much, I think.
We've lost all the Essex boys.
And the Hertfordshire boys
that are a bit closer. Yeah, and we gained a few that are closer. So no, there's some great ones in there. And like I said, hopefully people will come back to non-league and we'll have big crowds and stuff like that. And it'd be good to see the guys later on in the season.
You say that now, Simon. You wait till they're tearing strips off you, mate. And I've seen those two in action.
No, it's all peace and love, I'm sure.
And then just to close with, guys, we'll go back to Binfield, just talk to them about what his season expectations might be before we bring the show to an end. So over to you, please.
Well, listen, we're probably the same as Darren. Obviously, it's a step up for us. It's an exciting new challenge, and it's going to be a great experience. I think in terms of expectations, obviously we want to make sure that we consolidate at the level. I think, as I said earlier, I don't see the guys bringing in too many new faces to the squad. Although I think, as we all normally do, from one season to the next, there's always a few faces that come in to freshen things up. But no, look, we're looking forward to it. We've got some good young lads. We've got some good experience. We've got players that have played that level and know what that level's about. So I think that will help us. But we're looking to go into play some bigger clubs, to visit new grounds. In terms of the league. It is, as Miller said, it's a great league. It's an exciting league. Obviously, as far as we are at Binfield, there's one real massive standout fixture for us, and it's to our obviously our local neighbours down the road, who certainly in my time as manager at Binfield, we're obviously always a thorn in my side in terms of players. And I won't say
the good thing is, Roger. The good thing is, Roger, you don't go on about it too much, do you?
No, not a lot. But listen, it's and the travelling as well. From what we've been used to the last few years, the Hellenic League over the last few years has become more and more Western. So for as much as there's some lovely clubs there and some lovely trips, I certainly won't be missing the trips into Gloucestershire and over the Severn Bridge into places like Lydney. So it's going to be a hard challenge for us, and it's going to be it's one that we're going to obviously have to plan for on and off the pitch. And hopefully, what's happened to us over the last few weeks will give us some momentum and confidence that we will be able to obviously compete at that level, which I'm sure we will do.
Spare a thought for Miller's on the travelling, mate, when he's off to Truro away and Merthyr and
the Plymouthshire, Truro, Plymouthshire. That is a result.
Right, gents. Thanks very much for making yourselves available. I know you've got things to do, busy lives and what have you. It's been really good to have you on. Very different for me to do this rather than talking to football fans about Liverpool or Everton or whatever. Really informative. I did used to live in that sort of neck of the woods and follow the local football and be involved in it. So it's kind of nice to catch up with what's going on down there, because I've not lived down there for 10 years now. So best of luck to you all individually with these clubs. Hope things go well for you. Hope you get to finish your seasons like you want to. Onwards and upwards for us all. Hopefully we'll come out the other side of this and get back to some normality. So again, gents, it's been my pleasure to speak to you this evening. Thanks, Dave, for organising it.
No,
again,
thanks, guys. Brilliant.
Take care of yourselves.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you. Good luck.
Cheers, guys.
Good luck, all.
All right.
Good luck.
Thanks, guys. Nice to see you.
Take care
All the
now.
best, guys.
Bye. Bye.
Right.
Yeah, good. Happy?